lifetime value and cost of acquisition, customer acquisition cost, which is basically what drives the value in the cloud. Getting your strategy right, building a functioning funnel, and then just sort of summarize this. I'm just going to go through a quick overview. SW7, we are a husband and wife team. So as I say to everybody, if you think launching a technology business is hard, try and launch one with your partner. The background is Odette comes from a corporate background, so she tends to look at people. So she looks at the behaviors of the teams and the behaviors that lead to success. So she comes from an HR performance management background. She's worked at board level with English listed businesses, and she sees good behavior creating good outcomes. My background is I'm rehabilitated propeller head. I was a techie. I had a business intelligence business. We were the largest Microsoft BI business in Africa for 10 years. Listed the business in London, did 2 fundraisers in the UK, and did about 11 transactions in the space of 18 months. So gone through the cycle of starting a tech business, listing it, raising money, and then actually exiting the process. My background is the business I had was a BI business. So I tend to look at the data. So I say, show me the data that indicates the business is good. And we tend to get, obviously, an 85% correlation between good data and good people. And the 15% causes a lot of arguments over red wine at home. So our background, our journey is very much the journey of the tech innovation space in South Africa. We were the first tech accelerator in South Africa. We launched the first structured tech accelerator in 2013. We've accelerated through our programs. We've done 9 programs. About 4 of the programs have been with Microsoft. We've directly accelerated about 155 businesses, and we've mentored about 300 businesses. So we've got a lot of sight and access to data and behaviors and the scale of the tech market and what's going on in the market. So we've kind of got the scars. And what we tend to do is we look for outcomes based. Our job is to accelerate businesses based on outcomes. Can I see the lift? Can I measure the lift? So it's all very well talking about acceleration and giving people business skills, but if there's no lift in the business, there's no acceleration. So what we're looking for is an outcome-based acceleration process. We did the first fintech accelerator in Africa with RMI Alpha Code. We work with most of the large funds in the country, so we are quite close to the funds and how the funds, and we've got data on what the funds are spending and where they're spending the money. And I'll tell you right now, the transaction volume, everyone talks about funding. Transaction volume on funding is really low in this country. We think our sector in South Africa, we're getting about 1% of our businesses are funded. So for every 99 businesses that launch a product, 1% of those get funded. The stats in the West are about 3%. So and the problem we have is the funding consumes about 60% of the dialogue. And the fact is, if you're a small business and you're tech-based, accept the fact you're not going to get funded. There's a 99% chance you won't be the one that gets funded. So you've got to choose if you're going to launch a business or not. So we do have sight of the transactions that are happening. We've got sight. We do valuations for funds, and we do help businesses close. And everybody comes to us and says, I want funding. And all the funds are adverse, risk averse. So they want a guaranteed return, which is obviously takes the venture out of the venture capital. My talk is scaling tech businesses in Africa. Just to put things in context, I said scaling businesses in Africa. This is just to give you context of the size of Africa. So when we talk about scaling tech in Africa, I don't know if you can't quite see the map here. This is China, America, India, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, UK. So just to give you sort of context of the size, Africa is big. Because Africa is big, it's complex infrastructure. Africa is a B2B first economy. So everyone talks about it. Everybody comes to us with B2C ideas. They won't work. Our B2C community is almost inaccessible. We've got no B2C successes in Africa and I'd love to hear from anybody who can name one. I've yet to find one that's successful. We've got Mixit, we've got Money for Jam, you've got Niche Stream, all the businesses we kind of know. If they launch as B2C and they either close the B2C channel or they go B2B. So Africa, because of the distribution and because of the challenges we face, we're a B2B first economy. Our markets are complex, fragmented, and distributed, and the skills are variable. So, and the problem, as soon as you take us out of the acceleration space and go B2B, your sales cycles are longer. So if you're selling to a business business, you've got a sales cycle. There's no buy. And the consumer markets are high lift and quick lift. And all the success stories we're seeing from Silicon Valley are the B2C successes. 8 times as much funding goes to B2B businesses as to B2C businesses. So in Western markets, the B2B businesses, we're assuming VCs are smart and they know where to put their money. There's 8 times more chance of success in the B2B business as a B2C business. So VC money follows return, and the B2B markets are where the returns are coming. So in Africa, our B2C is inaccessible, we're B2B. And all markets lift from the bottom. So we're starting to see a massive shift. I don't know if you guys have heard of, Xero, the online general ledger. They entered 4 years ago, 1,000 customers, 2,000 customers, 5,000 customers, 15,000 customers. So what we're seeing is the appetite for small businesses to adopt cloud is changing quickly. So we're seeing quite a big shift from the bottom of the market. And I know if anybody's launching a business here and selling to businesses, it may not feel like it, but we're in the middle of the largest digital boom the planet has ever seen. So the pace and rate that we're digitizing in Africa, the rate at which we're coming online, the rate at which the mobile phones are coming online, the rate at which people are using mobile phones and going online is about 3 or 4 times faster than anywhere else in the world. So we are in the middle of the largest tech boom we've seen. And I said, I know that anybody who's in the sales side won't believe me, but it's true, we're digitizing. It's going to talk about what cloud means. So what cloud means to your customer and then what cloud means to your business. So the first thing, what cloud means to your customer. First thing for, is it just me or can you see that? The resolution, good. First thing it means to the customer is choice. As soon as you go online, the customer has choice. So if you take the sale and the relationship away from the on-premise and you move to the cloud, the customer goes, hang on, if I'm shifting to the cloud, I can choose. I don't have to choose you. I can choose something else. I can choose anything in the cloud. So as soon as the customer shifts to cloud, they open up a world of choice for themselves. What that means for you is your competition goes up exponentially. So as soon as you move to cloud, as soon as the customer moves to cloud, they get choice. Second thing the customer looks for is time to value. The reason I cloud is I can get value really quickly. If I flick the switch and I go online, I'll have this thing, the sales pitch, I'll have this up running in 10 minutes. You can spin up instances in 10 minutes. I can move my data across. So the time to value for the customer is enormous. So what cloud means to the customer is I can choose what I want to go and I can get value really, really quickly. Low cost, of course, and the way with cloud, low cost is I don't have to buy servers. I don't have to have this massive investment in hardware and tin. I can come on board and I can spin up some instances and I can get running really quickly. Easy deploy, that's the sales pitch of cloud. The promise to the customer is it's easy. There's no headache, there's no maintenance, it's really quick. Consumption-based pricing. So cloud to the customer means I'll just pay for what I use. I'm not going to have a lot of unused capacity sitting around which defines the old market. So the customer then says, I'll come on board quickly and I'll only use what I pay for. I only pay for what I use. And then the last thing is a headache-free. So the cloud sales is easy. There's low headache, there's low maintenance. What it means to your business as a small business, the first thing it means is the cash crash. It's going to go from selling ticket deals to selling small monthly or small annuity fees. So if you shift from old school to new school, the impact on your cash flow is massive. It's much harder to lift cloud businesses than it is to lift a traditional business. The good news is you get annuity revenue. And what annuity revenue is, obviously the customer stays sold. So once you sold the customer, they stay with you. And you keep on giving them value. So the good thing for the business, first thing is the cash is annuity revenue is good. The value of your business is 10 times greater. So if you launch a cloud business with annuity revenue, the valuation on your business goes up somewhere between a double and tenfold. Smaller deals. If you go cloud, you're going to get smaller deals. Customer comes along and says it's easy, it's low risk, it's consumption-based. So when I sign a deal with you, I'm not expecting to spend that much. So it's a smaller deal. And obviously, what that means to your business is if you're selling smaller deals, I need a bigger funnel. I need more customers to sell to. Scale, so a large upfront investment, which is the infrastructure. So the customer, for you as a business providing cloud, it's got to work online. And what that means is I've got to be able to go click buy, or I've got to consume something, it's got to work. Your product has to be almost finished, completely finished before you go to market. In the old school, you could walk up and sort of sell off PowerPoint, and you could do a whole bunch of stuff and convince people to buy your product. The tech's not quite finished, but you finish it on site. With cloud, you don't get that chance. It's got to be finished, it's got to be working. So it means upfront investment. Scale, of course, if you go to cloud, the big thing that everybody wants is scale. As soon as you go to cloud, you can scale your business. It means you can get a lot of customers really quickly, so you can create value. And then the effect on your business is because you've gone to cloud and you've onboarded the customer really quickly, you don't have to have that many resources kicking around to onboard people. You can onboard people a whole lot faster. So it's mixed value to your business. The long-term value is a lot higher. It's quite strong. The first driver in the market is customer choice. Is as soon as you go to cloud, the customer can choose. And there's two. When you sell to a customer, there's two sales cycles. The first sales cycle is when the customer decides to buy and wants to onboard. And the second sales cycle is when I use your product and give you value. And everybody in the old school market builds for the second sales cycle. Once I've got you, I'll give you value. Once the customer's on board, I've got a whole bunch of stuff I can do for you. In the cloud economy, you have to build your product for the first sales cycle first. You've got to build your product to onboard the customer and give them value really quickly. And you've got to build the product to make them buy it, rather than build the product to deliver value after they bought it. And that sounds counterintuitive, but if you're the customer, you can't give them value. So if you don't onboard the customer, so everyone builds for the second cycle, and I'm going to talk through that now. So basically, when you build a cloud product, build to sell. So you've got to build the product from the ground up to sell. The product has to be built so you can sell it. It's not built to deliver value. So you've got to spend about 80% of your effort on your go-to-market and onboarding, which sounds kind of skewed, and everyone says tech's 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's about 80% is on your go-to-market and your onboarding process, and the rest is actually on the tech. So you've got to build a big funnel. And then no matter how easy you make it for the customer to onboard, it's not easy enough. It's never easy enough. If you've got 5 fields to fill in, that's 4 too many. If you've got to click and enter some data, it's too hard. So you've got to, however easy you want to make it for the customer, it's not easy enough. And then I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the customer lifetime value curve. Customer lifetime value this is the old school sales. Is basically I get a lead. I have an expensive salesperson. They spend time working with the customer. We create the business case. We create the value proposition. We go to POC. We go to sign off. And then we get a big check from the customer. Once we get a big check from the customer, we have a big team on site. We deploy the product. We make a lot of money. We get some license revenue. Get lots of billing work. And then we keep the customer for a while. And our job as a customer is to push this out and to push this up. So I've got to build features to lengthen the customer lifetime value and to sell them more. But even if I do this, there is a point in time with diminishing value. So with the customer lifetime value, your customer acquisition cost is really, really high, and it costs a lot of money. But when you get the customer, you get a big chunk of cash. And this is the old school. This is the salesman's sale. Everyone talks about solution selling. Solution selling has become the most expensive and ineffective way of selling that exists at the moment, because buying cycles have changed inside customers. So if you're solution selling, it's expensive, and it doesn't work that well anymore, because customers have become they're kind of stressed because there's a lot going on in the digital world, and it's developers' dream. And developers just love this. They just want to build features. They just want to write tech. Developers develop. They code. Like, oh, you can do this and you can do that. I want to do this. And they get so excited about the features. But what's changed is if you don't have the customer, they're not going to use the features. So this is what your scale cycle looks like for a cloud business. Is you've got a lower cost to acquire the customer. You will acquire the customers faster. You won't make money for a while, and then you'll make a little bit of money. It'll grow over time. But what's actually happening now is in the new school business is as your old school customers are going away, you're just getting going on your cloud customers, and you're going to start to crank them up. So you start to see the value if you look at the vendors like Microsoft and why the guys are all excited. This is the curve they're on with their businesses. They know that if you shift the guys onto Azure, this is the lifetime value of the customer, and it's just going to increase and increase and increase. And obviously, this is the customer's choice. So this is how the customer buys. So in the current market, the customer wants to make a quick decision. I want it to be easy. I want to get value really quickly, and I don't want to pay too much, and then I'm going to pay a bit as I use it. And it looks great, and obviously the shareholder value is enormous. but it's easy for the customer. It's built for me. You've built a solution just for me. I'm special. All the customers are special. So when you customize, you've got to build it just for the customer. And the barriers to entry are really, really low. What it means to your strategy, I'm just going to go through the things for the customer. The first thing is if the customer's got choice. As soon as you go to cloud, the customer can choose. And the first question they're going to ask you is, why would they choose you? So as soon as you go to cloud, first thing that you go to the customer and say, I can take the business to cloud, I can offer you huge value, and they're going to go, great, why you? So your differentiation, your secret sauce, and sell to a niche is actually what defines your business. As soon as you move your business to the cloud, we're going to ask you, why are you special? And who are you selling to? So, and the time to value, obviously for the customer wants value really, really quickly. And the only way to give the customer value really quickly is to meet their specific need. So the customer, it's built for you. I've built the solution for doctors, and it's a health tech solution. And you go, yeah, it's kind of not narrow enough. It's a health tech solution for doctors that own their own practices, that live in urban areas, that have a practice of 2 to 3 staff. You kind of go, okay, I'm starting to get into a niche, and I'm starting to sell to value, and actually we've got a business that's done that. And one of the businesses that came through the program about 3 years ago started to focus on the niche for the cloud value, and they're doing about £1 million profit a month at the moment. So, and everyone sort of says, why would you go for niche? Niches are profitable, and that's what's happening. So this the big shift is differentiate. Is you have to differentiate your business. You've got to be special to the customer. You've got to build the product just for them. I mean, and even with doctors, the sale for the doctor and it's not for doctors with new practices. It's for doctors with established practices that have 2 to 3 staff that are in urban areas. And they're launched locally, but most of the business is now offshore. So you talk about the international scale, most of the revenue is international now. And what it means is if there's a low cost to the customer, you're not going to charge the customer a lot. But what that means to your business is you need a large funnel. I need a lot of customers to sell to now. So I could survive on selling 2 or 4 or 5 customers. Now I need to sell 50 customers. So it all sounds great when you sort of say cloud, the future. It is the future. The change it brings to your business is massive. Create a large funnel. So obviously to fill the cash roll, you need lots of customers, and the customers need to be similar. The reason they need to be similar, firstly, is you need to target the marketing. You need to go to a niche. Secondly, when they come to me, my onboarding process is so tight for their need, I can onboard them quickly. If you've got lots of different customers coming to you, you can't onboard them. You cannot onboard different customers quickly and give them value. So you've got to onboard your customers quickly. You've got to give them value really quickly. And then what you've got to do inside your business is convert your funnels effectively. So the biggest change that's coming to your business, the biggest change we see in all the businesses that are going to cloud, all the cool startups, they don't focus on the tech, they focus on the solution. And this is really where Microsoft is coming into their own here, is that they're the first big vendor that has got it. And what that means is access to market and scaling your business is actually about how can you get lots of customers quickly. And that's your only success factor. We're going to assume you've got a product, you can assume you get your product to market, you can take it to the cloud, you can offer value, you can differentiate. We're going to assume all of those things. Once you nail all of those things, you've then got to go and build a big funnel. And that's really where the business challenge is. So inside your business, you've got to create a process where I can acquire leads, validate the leads, qualify the leads, get the customers on board and get them value really, really quickly. This is where we put about 80% of the effort. Is get your customers, get them on board, give them value quickly. Easy engagement. So however easy you make it, it's not easy enough. Are there any developers in the room? So there's 2 words developers are not allowed to use. You just do this. You just put this line of code in here. You just refresh the cache. As soon as the developer says just, it means the customer has to do something. It means you don't have a deal. And then the second word the developers aren't allowed to use is ready. The code's ready. What does that mean? Is the code ready? Can I onboard? Well, no, you can't onboard customers, but the code's ready. You go, well, is it tested? No, it's ready, but I haven't tested it. So the 2 things that developers tend to do is they say the code's ready and you just do this. The onboarding cycle is going to be done by a business person, not a developer normally. The developer can write the code, but the process is usually, it's not a technical process, it's a business process. And obviously, you're getting your customers on board, you're getting a large funnel, you have to create an upsell model. So you have to modularize your code set and your offering to such an extent that as soon as I get a customer, I give you value really quickly, I want to sell you something else. I want to sell you more. And the customer, if you give the customer value, they always want more. They say, this is cool, can I have something else? So you have to build your product in such a way that you can upsell the whole time. And that means your first touch has to be easy, has to be quick, and I've got to give you value. And then go crack. And as soon as the customer gets value, they always ask for more from the people they trust. So getting value, and you've got to build the product. So when I say, this is how you build your product, and this is a different product to the old school tech products. And then the last one is code for the first sale. So you've got to write the code to get the customer on board. So the features you build in the product are for the first sale, not the second. So I'm just going to go back to this. This is the coding gap that we see in just about every single business. Every single business we come to is, this has been done manually, and I deliver value here. This is the code gap. And this is what you have to code for. You've got to write the code to go through this process that I can get you on board really quickly. The cloud means your strategy. So the first step, get your strategy right. So a benchmark tool set. We're going to be announcing a program with Microsoft. Use the name. SW7 Microsoft Partner Acceleration Program. And through that process, we're coming up with a digital tool set to self-assess and to test your ideas really quickly. And what this is basically, this is a business benchmark. I don't know if anyone's familiar with theory of constraints. Is we basically have designed a TOC approach, theory of constraints approach. Is you have to solve in sequence. Is you have to solve across the page. You have to fix the first thing first, and your first pillar. And inside this pillar, the first thing is does the customer want your product? Is the first pillar. So if you don't have a customer that wants your product, you've got no business. All the scores are viability scores. So basically, what you would sort of see, a typical business would have a descending scale like that. And as the business matures, this becomes viable, this becomes viable, and this becomes viable. And then the last one is your scale. So the first one is vision and strategy. We assess the business. The shape, this is product market fit. The shape of the graph tells us where your product came from. So this is product design and development. They've got a strong development team, and the strategy is not as strong as the product. You've got a backward sloping strategy. This product was built by developers. So there's two kinds of businesses that you'll ever come across. There's technology businesses that solve a business problem, and there's businesses that use technology to solve a problem, and they're completely different businesses. This product, they've built technology to solve a business problem. The one struggle they will always have is who is the customer. So if you have a tech first build, you say, who's my customer, who's my customer, who's my customer? If you have a business case build, you say, I know exactly who my customer is, but they don't use my product. I can't get adoption. So those are the two challenges you come across. The first one is if you're tech-led, you're always going to be searching for a market. So if you use tech to solve a generic problem, you're always going to be looking for who your customer is. And the flip side is I've solved the business problem, I'm always going to struggle with adoption. So these are online tools that you'll be able to use, assess your business, do the strategy check-in, and see how you're doing, and then also see what you need to fix in what sequence. But it's also about give you the tools to track yourself over time. So where's my business? How well positioned am I? It's your assessment, it's not ours. So it's your data. We create the 4 focus areas, and then we're using this for about 4 or 5 funds at the moment. So we're actually getting quite a lot of interest from the funds to use this to assess the businesses. Once you've assessed the business, the next thing is you've got to build your funnel. And everybody sort of says, this is a gaming funnel for gaming businesses. Someone come up and say, I need 10 businesses. I need to have 10 businesses on board. You'll come and say, I need 10 customers a month. If you go for 10 customers a month, I need 50 businesses that really qualify. And I go back, and I've got a fairly generous funnel here because it's only halving, which is quite generous, and it'll usually collapse a bit faster. But at the top of my funnel, I need 1,000 businesses. So to get 10 businesses through my funnel, I need 1,000 businesses at the top of my funnel. So this is what we're talking about when your business flips. If you go to cloud, the volume of businesses you need, and everybody focus on this number, and we go, yeah, that's what you need to do to get it. And what you need to do when you launch your cloud business, if you solve the first pillar, these pillars start to solve. If you never solve that pillar, this will never happen. So when you shift to cloud, your whole business shifts, and you've got to change the way you go about it. And basically, everyone talks about digital only and digital businesses you sell through the cloud. There are no digital sales. People don't engage digitally. People don't click buy. It never happens. I don't know if you know the statistic. 85% of SaaS solutions in the world are sold using old school sale methods. So old school being, it's a Skype call, it's a phone call, it's an email, it's a proposal, it's a chat, it's a presentation. So 85% of SaaS solutions are sold the old school way. So this whole, if I go to cloud, people buy my product, it's not going to happen. You still need to curate. People still need to trust you. They still need to know that you're okay. So manual doesn't work and digital doesn't work. What does work is you blend, as the blended approach. And what you need to discover for your business is how do I blend digital and manual, light touch, high touch, to create an effective sales funnel. So you can't do manual only and you can't do digital only, and where you cut off with your funnels. So obviously you want to try to do this digitally, and then what will happen is if you do this digitally, it'll just disappear. They won't go to the next level. So you do as much digitally as you can, but then you start to qualify manually with high touch. So cloud is not about the tech. It's about the new business model it enables. So it's a big shift to your business. First thing, sell to a proven need. So if you don't have a need inside the customer, if you want behavior change, it'll never happen. People don't change their behavior. So the first thing we look for is someone comes to us and says, I'm going to do things differently. You're going to go, not with us, because life's too short. So you have to sell to a need. And I think the big thing, and this is where we see Microsoft, where we think they're going to take a massive play in the market, is sell the way the customer buys. Everybody wants, the sales process we talk about is you've got to put the pig on the lipstick. I've got something cool and new. It's a lovely piece of tech. It's amazing. It's cloud. It's SaaS. It's this. If the customer's not used to buying SaaS products, they won't buy SaaS products ever. So what you've got to do is say, no, it's a service. If you just pay here, if you buy a service, you're going to buy like 20 man hours, we're going to deliver this amazing value for they go, and I can buy services. I know how to buy services. But also what we see here, and this is what Angus was talking about, is I'm used to buying from Microsoft. If I'm inside the firewall and I'm a business, if customer buys from Microsoft and they're used to buying from Microsoft, if you're inside the firewall, it becomes a safe sale, and you become okay to work with. So we're seeing this where we see that there's going to be massive traction for Microsoft is inside the firewall. As soon as you're on Azure, Microsoft sort of puts a sticker okay, and you look like everything they've ever bought in the past. Second step, make it easy. Every step of the way. Everyone talks about click buy, and you go click buy my product. I started 10 minutes late. I got 4 more minutes on my time. So make it easy. Legal sign off. The product's not easy. Then I give you a 70-page contract. That's not easy. I make the contract easy, sign on easy, and then I've got to meet you to do an EFT or something like that. It's got to be easy. If you think you're in a niche, go lower. Know your numbers, and then build and convert a large funnel effectively. So those are the sort of steps to creating scale. So I have finished on time. It was a 30-minute talk, and I did start 10 minutes late, so I'm actually just on time. So this is, our job, we're trying to create scale in the ecosystem. So our job is to try and accelerate 7,000 businesses across Africa. We're creating the tool sets now to do this. We've been sort of on the journey. So it comes to a tech startup, we're living the dream. Why would anyone launch a tech business? If you want to get in touch, we've got a LinkedIn group. The LinkedIn group is 5,000 people. It's Tech Startups, Founders, Developers Africa, so please reach out. And then we're going to be launching a whole community sort of platform and engagement process in the next sort of 5 or 6 weeks. We're starting to onboard about 50 businesses now. And I'm done. and I'm on time because I started 10 minutes late. Yeah. The LinkedIn group it's called Tech Startups, Founders and Developers Africa, and it's a long name. I'm an anal data person, so I googled all the LinkedIn groups in the world, and I took all the names from the biggest groups in the world and I put them into a name, and that's how I came up with the name. And that's why we ended up with the biggest group, because it's what draws people in. So Tech Startups, Founders and Developers Africa. If you come to our website sw7.co, you can also link through from there. sw7.co is a lot easier. Any other questions? Yeah.
There's a lot of emphasis on product and solutions sales. Anything to add around services?
We're a bootstrap market, so in South Africa we're unfunded. So I talked about the funding earlier. You are going to run a services business. Everyone talks about the purists, tech. Not going to happen in South Africa. How do you survive for 2 or 3 years while you launch a product business? You start off with services. I would say from services is if you have to do services to pay the salary bill. Do services on point. So whatever your cloud product is going to do services on that topic with those subjects that you're going to be working with, and then you can start to convert them on the platform. You're starting to build your business. If you service away from what you're going to be building, you end up being distracted. So you do services work with the customer on the solution with the offering that you are taking to market. And so the first thing you've got to do is align your services engagement to the product engagement to get customers, because you're going to start to engage them and then you're going to start to turn them on and 5 customers, 10 customers. So service on point. Thank you. I'm going to run.
One more question.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you to just give one example of a company that has leveraged on a cloud-based business successfully.
So I don't know. Yeah. So community is. We've got quite a few businesses. Chase Software. I don't know if you know Chase Software. They came to us. They said we've got 90% market share. They're doing most of the advertising agencies in the country. We took them in on a trade mission 3 years ago. They ported the business to the cloud, and they're starting to scale. They've got 3 employees in the UK now, so it's starting to happen. But the B2B markets, Isometrics. I don't know if you know Isometrics, risk management business, local. They're now growing at 50% compound annually, offshore, mostly in America. They secure the local market. So there's lots, but it's they're kind of in niches, but that's where they belong. You won't have heard of them because they're in niches, but that's exactly where you belong. It's the long tail. I don't know if you heard about the long tail. We're moving into the market of the long tail. And that's where you service little niches. File Pounder came through our program 3 years ago. They've got about 40 customers. And of the 40 customers, about sort of 15 are in America. But the American businesses are insurance businesses. He hasn't been to visit any of them. He's selling through the client. So he's an integration platform. He's selling to the long tail. He's selling into such an obscure niche. He's selling to AS400 products that were discontinued 5 years ago. And all the guys are sitting in the insurance business, AS400 products, they don't integrate them. And he says, I've got a solution. And he's signing up nice businesses, big businesses really quickly. So we've got lots of, I said 300 businesses, so we do have a lot of examples. Cool. I've got to run. Thank you. I think, yeah.
Hi, everyone. The next session track is starting now. If you guys want to know how to build your app in the cloud, you want to go to Tech Lab. That's where we're going to be talking about how to tackle the whole development journey. In the open space area, Keith is going to repeat his presentation that he just did. Soweto is going to cover AI and IoT. Then in Cape Town, if you want to build anything or if you have any questions on how to handle the on-premise and the cloud environment at the same time, that's where you need to go to talk to Fletcher. And we're getting Alfredo here to talk to us about how to build your app in a secure environment for enterprise. So please just make sure that you get all the right information in the next track. It is our last breakout session.